In this problem, I'm asked to condense into one logarithm this expression here. And how many logarithms does it have? 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to need some properties of logarithms that I've written on the next slide. And the first one is the product property of logarithms. It says log to the base b of a product, m times n, is log to the base b of m plus log to the base b of n. Notice the bases of all the logs are the same, but the log of a product becomes the sum of the individual logs. The quotient property says log to the base b of a quotient is equal to log to the base b of m minus log to the base b of n. So this becomes the difference of two logs, and it's important to note that the term that was in the numerator, its log is positive. The term that was in the denominator, its log is negative. The last property we use is the power property that says log to the base b of m raised to the p. We can bring that p down in front and multiply, and it becomes p log to the base b of m. Now, since I'm going to be condensing logs, I am going to be working in this direction when I condense my logs. So one thing, to be able to use the product property and the quotient property, notice I have ones in front of those logs, a 1 and a negative 1 in front of those logs. So to use those properties, my coefficients have to be 1 and negative 1. And if they're not, we're going to use this property here that allows us to take the p up and it becomes an exponent. Then I have a 1 in front. So now we're back looking at our problem, and I put the properties up here. So remember, in front of each of the logs, I need to have a 1 or a negative 1. Is that a 1? Yes. This one is a negative 1. Excellent. How about this one? No, that's a 3. So I'm going to have to use the power property here, and that 3 needs to go up and become an exponent. So I'm going to have log to the base 2 of a minus log to the base 2 of b plus log to the base 2 of c cubed. So now I have ones or negative ones in front of each of my logs. The bases are the same, so I'm ready to condense them. I could do it in 2 steps, turning this into a quotient and then using the product rule, but I think it's easier just putting it together immediately. So I'm going to have log to the base 2 of something. We have to decide what that something is and where everything goes. So if there's a positive in front of it, it goes in the numerator. If there's a negative in front of it, it goes in the denominator. So this first one has a positive 1 in front of it. I'm going to have a in the numerator. The second one has a negative 1 in front of it, so I'm going to have a b in the denominator. And the last one has a positive 1 in front of it, so I'm going to have c cubed in the numerator, but what operation goes between the a and the c cubed? When you put it back together again, it becomes multiplication. So a times c cubed. So now I have condensed that expression into a single logarithm. One last thing I wanted to point out is the biggest mistake students make is when they put this back together again and there are 2 terms in the numerator, they put a plus between them. Notice it has to be a multiplication.